$1 issue. What's number 2?
Petition drive for property.
Oh yeah, property tax, okay. I've been to 4 events, this is the number 4. I get a break after this to go see my grandsons in Maryland Thursday, so that'll be fun. I want to pass around some clipboards. On the clipboards, you can put your email address and your cell number, or just your cell number, or just your email address. And I'll explain as I'm doing this why we think it's so important for us to be able to communicate in, there you go, thank you. To be able to communicate almost instantaneously on things through email and through text. So, we've been doing this GFI thing, the Grassroots Freedom Initiative thing, since a few days after the first primary in 2022. And we have continued to try new things to move the conservative grassroots effort forward. And we, I think, have kind of gotten ourselves to the point where we've evolved to what we think our place should be in this movement. I was talking to Brian Massey about it earlier. We've got the Ohio Political Network, or Ohio Political Network, that does live stream kind of things. And then we've got the Ohio Register, if you're aware of that, that is like the online publishing news kind of site, and it is getting better every day. I am stunned at the progress they've made in a short period of time of turning that into a really nice destination, and I think they're getting well over 3,600 visitors a month. And that number was from a few months ago, so it could be higher than that. And then I think our place is able to tie, to do 2 things. We're trying to educate Ohio voters on the nature of politics and politicians and help them understand what we need to do to pressure them, to make them uncomfortable so they do what we want them to do. And so, what we have decided is that we're going to become the digital conservative activism group in Ohio. So this is why we need cell numbers to send texts. We started sending texts about the beginning of the year. And we've been sending emails. Some of you might have been subscribing. But just last week, we launched this digital activism platform. Did anybody see that or use it? Okay, that's good, because we got plenty of opportunity to expand its use. So essentially what it is it's a leading edge technology product that's a website, and you can go to the call to action on your phone. And for example, we've got a call to action out there that is asking the people who voted for the budget last week why they thought it was okay to vote for a budget that had $600 million in it for the billionaire Haslam family to move the stadium from downtown Cleveland to the suburbs. And what this does is you go to the site, and you put in your name and address and phone number and all that, and you hit enter, and you immediately send that email to all 49 Republicans who voted for that budget. Just like that. Then, you click the call button, and you can call every one of those people, their offices, and leave a voicemail, and just go right through that list of 49 or the ones you decide you want to call. And if you're doing it on a phone, it will bring up your phone app and it will dial for you. So you don't have to have the numbers in your contacts, you don't have to dial them in, type them in, you don't have to keep them anywhere, the system does it for you. And then, if you've got an X account or a Twitter account, you can voice your displeasure on their particular Twitter streams. They'll be tagged. And this is the kind of leading edge stuff that the folks that are doing, Move On, BLM, hands off, they're using technologies like this. There aren't very many conservative groups. We might be the first one, but luckily the founders of the company are pretty centrist or libertarian, so they think what we're doing is kind of cool. Yeah, email or text, but I think what I'll do is, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to get you to the call to action. I can embed the call to action on the website tomorrow. We'll see if we can get a special page up for this issue specifically, and we'll put it in the menu on the home page. I will send a special email out to folks and a special text out to people to let them know what we're doing, so you can take a look at it. I'll try to get it done tomorrow. Okay.
Give me some information, I'll put it on the Tea Party.
Okay, we'll do that. It's gfiohio.com. gfiohio.com. We've got some handouts back there if you want to take those along with you. But if you get on here in the future, you'll get things from us. So thank you for that. Thank you for allowing me to give you a bit of a commercial on what we're doing. Issue 2. It's not issue 1. There's no issue 1 on the ballot.
You said there were 2 things that you thought you wanted to educate people and get them so that they can do what you wanted.
Oh, and then we're doing videos as part of that. So getting that information, and then we're doing recorded videos where Brian and the folks, Leonard and the folks from OPN are doing live stream and things like that. That's not really our forte. It's more consolidating people to get us into a mass that can swing elections with our votes. Assuming we move in somewhat the same direction. We don't have to always agree on things, but we ought to agree, I think, on things like smaller government, medical freedom, school choice, strong borders, no corruption in Columbus, which is a big challenge, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, that would be the difference, or the second thing. So issue 2, there's no issue 1. Typically there would be an issue 1 if they continue to use the same numbering scheme they used in the past. But they've changed the numbering on issues now, so we have an issue 2. I believe the political reason for that is that they wanted to sneak this thing in on us, and they were afraid if people saw issue 1, they would associate it with the old issue 1s and would vote no on it. So they literally changed, and figuratively changed the numbering scheme on issues just for this issue. This is the first one. I gotta think there is a reason for doing that. This is a $2.5 billion bond issue. The state of Ohio, based on a constitutional amendment that we voted for years ago, has to have a balanced budget. The only way you can take on debt is to change the Constitution, which is why this is an issue. The legislature could not do this without our voting approval. And if we vote it down, they can't do it. Now, there will be people that will say this is a replacement. That is not true. While we have done these before, and this one is expiring, it is not a replacement. It is a new amendment to the Constitution. And it also is not, it's not evergreen. That's the other thing some politicians are saying. Well, we're doing it so we don't have to come back to you all the time for this. That's not true either. This is for 10 years and then it expires and we'll have to do this again. Now, it's very interesting to me that they've known for 10 years that this thing was going to be expiring, right? Because it's for 10 years. So they've had 10 years to plan to replace this, but they waited until the last minute. This amendment was done during the lame duck session. It started and ended within like 30 days. What legislation gets through that fast? It's a miracle. Don't get medical freedom, don't get school choice, we can go down the list. Don't get property tax reform, don't get income tax reform, but boy, oh boy, we got this issue on the ballot. And it's on the ballot of a primary election that doesn't have a governor being chosen and doesn't have a president being chosen. So the turnout's gonna be maybe 5%. And we know that all the insiders in the party, that Mike DeWine will whip and everybody else will show up and vote for this. Now, I have to tell you, from my own personal perspective, it's not going to be any skin off my nose whether or not this passes or doesn't, because we do need to be funding infrastructure. I just personally believe this is the wrong way. Think about what happens here. We pay state income tax, we pay fees, it goes into the general revenue fund, and then our township trustees, our county commissioners, our village executives, our city executives have to go to the Ohio Public Works Commission with a proposal and have them agree to fund the projects with our money. So we gotta go to a higher level of government in Columbus when we're spread over 88 counties in what, the 7th biggest state in the nation, and beg for our own tax money back. And the people deciding on this are appointed by the government. They're commissioners of the Ohio Public Works Commission. They're not elected by us. So they get us to approve this big pile of money, and then they decide what to do with it, and they tell us, well, you voted for it. Okay? I just have a problem with that. Now, they'll say, well, what do you expect us to do? How are we going to fund these things? And I've had township trustees, supposedly conservative Republican township trustees, they're not happy with me bringing attention to this, or any of us who are participating in bringing attention to it. Because here's what I heard from, I think it was the county engineer in Delaware last week. You don't understand, this is the easiest way to spend money. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, a political debate, like if I was having a debate as a candidate, that would have been like I'm jotting it down. And I did say, did you just hear what the engineer, county engineer just said? It's the easiest way to spend money, right? I mean, it shouldn't be that easy to spend money. So I have just issues with the fact that this. Have you heard any politicians talking about it until we've raised questions about it? None. Have you seen signs for issue 2? Vote yes on issue 2. The insiders are absolutely convinced this is just going to sail through. Tom Young down in Dayton was just arrogantly condescending to one of his constituents, saying, if you don't have millions of dollars to fight this, you lose, right? One of our elected representatives, he's kind of a doofus, but he's like Phil Plummer's little assistant. It's kind of funny, Phil Plummer. So they kind of tag team from that Dayton area. So we thought that it would be an interesting time to show our voting force if we can. So we put together, and it's on the GFI website, but a number of people helped from around the state put the material together. You can go to gfiohio.com, gfiohio.com, and on the menu, you can put in /issue2, or you can go to the menu, and over on the far right, there's an issue 2 tab in the menu. It's on every page, and you can click that, you can get to all the information, and we will continue to put more out there as we have it. Brian and I were talking, Len and I were talking earlier, they leave this stuff to the last minute, we catch it, and it seems like the more we think about it and the more we look at it, the more reasons we find not to vote for this. And the insiders don't like this. I've been told, and I have to go back and look at it, but I've been told that there is something that was put into law in 2014 that reclassifies voting equipment as facilities, and that these bonds are being used to fund leases for ballot marking and tabulators for the boards of election around Ohio. So think about that. This is supposed to be for infrastructure, and now voting machines are infrastructure, if what I was told is true. And maybe if there's anybody out there who's a big revised code reader, I am, but I just didn't get to it today. I'm going to give you the number, and you can go take a look at it. Because it's 111.26. 111.26 in the Ohio Revised Code. I think it's the Ohio Revised Code because it doesn't have dashes, so it's not the administrative code. And I believe it was put into law in July of 2014. And right after that, we started getting ballot marking equipment and stuff like that in Ohio. So that's why I think we need to vote no on this. Now, we did the math. We need a swing, if things go as they have the last 2 times, of about 80,000 voters across the state. If we educate people who are going to vote in the primary, and we get about 253 of them to switch a yes vote to a no vote, and then we get about 450 voters who wouldn't typically vote in a primary to vote in a primary, we defeat this thing going away, assuming the turnout is about 5%. And I think that would send a shockwave through Columbus. Because here's what would happen. Every township trustee, every city manager, every county commissioner would be on the phone to their legislators saying, what do we do now? And that's a good position to put them in. They work for us, we don't work for them. If you've been around like me and you've spoken with these people on the same program, like I did yesterday with Rodney Creech and Adam Matthews, there's just a lack of either stunning incompetence or willful dishonesty when they talk about what's going on with this and the budget bill and everything else. And I don't know, I'm just at the point at 66 years old, I'm tired of these people lying to me, and I'm gonna call it out, and I really don't care what they think. I've got enough friends, I got 5 grandkids, I can barely keep up with them and my wife. I do not need friends in the Ohio legislature. So, that's basically it. I mean, there are other aspects to this. The more we look at it, the worse it gets. It's great that Skip and people like him are doing the things with groups like yours in terms of the ads and all the rest. I just, in my mind, I will measure our success by either this thing winning or how close it is, because the margin of win the past 2 times this has been renewed has been 20 points. People just vote on it and it's done. The last time this was on the ballot in Cuyahoga County, the turnout was 4.5%. Those were all party insiders. And it seems like the Democrats and the Republicans both love this thing. Everybody but one person voted for it. There were a few people that didn't vote, but Rajan Tani, who's no longer a senator, was the only person in both chambers of the legislature who voted against this. Something's wrong because nothing ever gets done in a bipartisan way, right? They count bipartisan as 51-49 when they get stuff done, right? We see it in Washington, we see it in Columbus. So it's just, to me, something rotten in Denmark, and I think we figured out some of it, but as we look at more and more, it just compounds. So I would recommend you vote no, but you may choose to vote yes, and that's okay too. Molly.
I was at a meeting on Saturday, and some of the folks said the only thing on their ballot was issue 2. Who's paying for this?
We are. I mean, the boards of election have to hold the primary election, right? If in that case. I don't think there's a single county, though, that has every precinct and every ward only issue 2. Because there's a lot of school levies and stuff like that intentionally put on during a primary like this so they can pass in the same manner. So it's no different, right? And that's another topic. We need to start fighting these levies just out of principle.
And one more thing, can you talk about how to stop this $600 million in the budget in the Senate?
I don't think it can be stopped in the Senate. I don't think anybody will have the will. I do know that the governor's not happy with it, and he may line item veto it. And then the question becomes, do they feel so strongly about it they want to override the veto? That would be really interesting. I just don't think they'd be able to do it, but maybe. But the governor ends up being our only hope. So when I talked about these calls to action, and you know what? I just look at this like a spreadsheet, right? I got a T-chart, and I got yes or no, and I say, okay, I want more yeses, and if he votes yes, I like him on that. I'm done saying, oh, so-and-so is nice because they support this, and so-and-so isn't. I just become a numbers guy now. I just don't care about these people because they do not care about us. They really don't. And falling in love with them or saying, oh, they're so good because I see them and I know and they come and they bring cookies and stuff like that. Like Gail used to bake cookies everywhere she went. She was a cookie lady. She was an awful legislator. And luckily she got beat by Heidi Workman, who did vote against the $600 million. But he's I think our only hope. Now, what we're going to do is do the same call to action we did on why did you vote for this ahead of time at the Senate. So if you sign up, you'll be seeing stuff for us where you can start pelting the Senate with take this out. And if we get lots of people doing that, we may get them to consider it because what we will probably not put in the email, but we may make this one customizable by you so you can add, and you also can put a message at the bottom. Mine would be, and do not expect a vote from me if you vote for this next election. That's what these people need to hear. And if they hear that enough, they will go against the grain. They will. And then the other thing is, we got to start calling and emailing the governor and saying, if this gets through, we want you to line item veto this thing. So we're going to continue to work on those calls to action to get this done. And we may not be successful this time, but we will get better and better at this. And we will get bigger and bigger at this. That's our vision. And I think, you know, Molly, with your help and Linda's and others, Beth, every week we're steaming on how to get more and more people into our database, to get them these calls to action, to have them act from their couch. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to get out of your pajamas. Right? Leave your sweatpants on and hit the enter button. So that's what we're trying to do.
one of the things I saw in that issue two right off, the disparity between the term that the money is available and the term that's paid back up.
Right.
So we have 10 years worth of money, we're financing it over 30 years.
Right.
So at the end of the 10 years, you're out of money, but you barely made a dent in paying it back.
And then you got another 10 years and another 10 years. So the third tranche, right, at the end of that, the first year is paid off on the first tranche. We're going to be paying forever, right? I mean, this one, 25, 35, 45, 2055, we'll start paying this off.
So that's one thing to learn.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.